If only these were still as relevant today as the founders' intentions of preservation, the expansion of the Library of Congress, or even, say, the cultural significance of film as depicted by the library's creation of the National Film Registry in 1988. Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. Well, by all means, have a seat. Oh, silly me. You are seated, aren't you? Well, let me just put this away and get myself a scholarly beverage here so you and I can be gentlemen and gentle ladies throughout the duration of the coming conversation. Over the following amount of time, I'm going to endeavor to break this vicious cycle of procrastination and try to finish my midterm project by means of lectures, so get comfortable. Because I have quite a bit to say, or at least I hope. Or if I don't, it'll be quite little to say that I will stretch over a span of at least 5 minutes, depending on how this works out. So let's begin, shall we? I'm pretty happy with that. America. The United States. The United States of America. Or simply America. No matter what you call it, the grand US of A, from its humble beginning, has had immense concern for its posterity. Don't worry about that. That's not the point. Okay, this is not about the environment. This is about intellectualism. Jesus! Jeez! Okay, back on track. Shame on men who can court exemption from present trouble and expense at the price of their own posterity's liberty. Samuel Adams. Posterity, you will never know how much it costs the present generation to preserve your freedom. I hope you will make good use of it. If you do not, I shall repent in heaven that I ever took half the pains to preserve it. John Adams. From the conservation of our freedom to the conservation of our, Don't look at me like that. Okay, look. I'm trying to make a point. It's about our founders. Alright. From the conservation of freedom to the conservation of information, our young nation has gone to great lengths for preservation. One of the most notable examples of this is the notion of a national library, a place where great works can be stored in order to ensure that future generations, we have access to them. This concept was not unheard of because the founding fathers each had excellent educations and large personal libraries respectively among them. In both New York and Philadelphia, the quasi-co-capitals of the young nation, the founders were given primary access to both the New York Society Library and the Free Library of Philadelphia, but there was nowhere, just for them. In 1800, President John Adams, in a bill that was meant to transfer the national government operations to its current location in Washington, D.C., sanctioned $5,000 to Congress for books. Knowledge, effectively kicking off the Library of Congress. It's the Library of Congress! Well, hell. The initial library installment located in the west wing of the Capitol building was burned down during the War of 1812, but fortunately Jefferson, in all of his intelligence, generosity, and glory, stepped in and agreed to sell his private book collection, amassing over 6,200 books, to Congress in order to restock the library. This set the precedent for the library to encompass books that were representative of many genres and various ideas and viewpoints that encourage a deeper perspective and understanding of the world. Jefferson also saw to it that the Librarian of Congress was a presidential appointee, so yeah, facts! For most of its adolescence, the Library of Congress would more correctly be referred to as the Library for Congress because it was primarily to serve Congress directly and did not actively seek public involvement, making availability more scarce than today's standards. However, that doesn't go to say that the library didn't have a hand in making popular literature more accessible to the average Joe Blow of the time. It did, but it just wasn't as effective as it could have been. It remained that way until after the Civil War, when the 6th Librarian of Congress, Ainsworth Rand Spofford, saw the future, and in that future knowledge flowed freely among the American people. Oh, that's to say that he transformed Congress's reference library into a national institution that also serves the general public. He did this by positing a single comprehensive collection of American published works and centralizing the U.S. copyright registration and deposit. He also formally landed the library a kick-ass separate building in 1897, which was later named after Thomas Jefferson, that would be used for the expansion of the library. Spofford was succeeded in 1899 by a hip guy named Herbert Putnam, who saw the Library of Congress less as a collection, but a library to be accessed, and was also rad enough to get President Theodore Roosevelt to take a liking to the library by making sure that personal documents of 6 founding fathers were preserved and accessible in 1903. And throughout his term, he increased the library's congressional funding, acquired additional library space in the form of an annex building now known as John Adams Building, and introduced the library to new services, research publications, catalogs, cultural functions, and new offices. Putnam was succeeded by Archibald MacLeish, who served as the librarian from 1939 to 1944. He basically protected the important national documents throughout wartime, reformed the library's administration, and enhanced the Library of Congress as a cultural institution. That means the more people knew how it worked and how to use it, and were more inclined to trust its judgments on both social and political issues. Hey, when are we gonna talk about movies? I mean, this is a movie class that you're making this for. Hold on, we're getting there. Can't you see I'm trying to cover the overall expansion of the Library of Congress so it can provide an adequate foundation to discuss the film registry and its relevance to today's society? Gosh! Anyways, allow me to expound on my topic at hand and recover from the interruption. Following World War II, the Cold War was alive and kicking, and technology was advancing like crazy. So, funding for the library, more specifically the library's research, was increased. And under librarian Lawrence Quincy Mumford, the cataloging process was automated. Nice job, dude. Gold star for you. He also started plans for the construction of a, what's that? That's right, a third building of the library. Expansion hype! The third building, or the James Madison Building, finished construction and opened to the public in 1980 under the librarianship of Daniel J. Borston. Now, Borston was a remarkable fellow for the Library of Congress because he restored and modernized the Adams and Jefferson buildings, established a council of scholars, and created an access to the library's immense film collection through introducing the Mary Pickard Theater in the Madison Building. And he also took a great interest in establishing a multimedia encyclopedia for the library. Borston's successor, James H. Billington, also advocated technological advancement in the Library of Congress. In addition to doubling the analog collection in the library to over 160 million items, he also founded an immense online library selection and various other programs. Among those programs is our holy grail, the National Film Preservation Board. Now we can talk about movies. Oftentimes, one may hear that movies have no place being considered as literarily significant as books. Some posit that movies are merely entertainment and books are the only true means of conveying substance, but that cannot be further from the truth. Movies are just as capable of reflecting generations, making statements on political issues, documenting history, and telling captivating stories, etc., etc., as movies are. Movies also have the ability to quickly engage their audience and convey their message in a much more efficient manner. Motion picture as a medium began as very rudimentary but quickly advanced into the multi-billion-dollar industry it is today. As movies progressed, they more and more became more and more part of American culture as a whole. Since the dawn of the first blockbuster/feature film, Birth of a Nation, film has continued to move from novelty to convey deep messages and influence pop culture and reach broad audiences. Movies really took off in the Roaring '20s, expanding the industry greatly. And in the 30s, during the Great Depression, business for theaters barely even wavered. People understood that they had found a medium that was capable of great things. With great significance comes great recognition. The National Film Registry of the Library of Congress, founded in 1988, currently has over 700 movies that it has deemed worthy of preservation due to either historical, cultural, or aesthetic significance. And they add 25 movies every December. Every movie 10 years of age or older is eligible for admission. The oldest movie admitted is currently Newark Athlete of 1891, and the newest movie admitted is currently 13 Lakes of 2004, but that may change come December. The editions are nominated by the public of the present for the public of the future. John Adams and Thomas Jefferson would be smiling if they could see such ardent attempts at preservation of the great works of great minds. The main difference in film, you know in your mind that you are doing it for posterity. You are doing it for the eventual audience, and it will be around forever. Debbie Reynolds. It is 6 o'clock in the morning, Monday, and I just finished making the video. This is going to be tacked on to the end. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to put a nice ratty bow onto this video. It's going to be fantastic. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you had a fantastic time. I had a great time making it. I don't know, man. It's a video. It's a project. Happy midterm. I deserve a 100, even though I probably don't. Procrastination. Don't do it, kids. Don't do school and stay in drugs.